Let's move on to our next session. Our next session is the sponsors presentation. And for that, let me welcome and introduce Mr. Parag Amodkar, Senior Manager of TobiiPro AB. Mr. Parag has been an eye tracking evangelist since 2009. His forte has been promoting value of vision science and its application across academic research and commercial use in the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, and Southeast Asian region. He holds Masters of Science in Biophysics from University of Mumbai, India, and MSc in Business Design and Innovation from Chalmers University of Technology, Sweden. He has previous work experience in analytical instrumentation and electronics product industry. Also, the Brain Art competition that was held in connection with ACCS8 was fully funded by TobiiPro AB. Let me heartily invite Mr. Parag for the sponsors presentation.
Thank you, Akhil. Thank you, Professor Devakar and the organizing committee to allow us to participate in this event. Of course, we all miss the one-on-one communications in the past couple of years due to the unavoidable situations. But then I really thank the organizing committee to set up such a nicely timed and planned event. It's really exciting to see so much new researchers talk about their research. And with that, I just want to also introduce, and I see a few common faces or known researchers, a few good friends who are also part of the event, which is really nice. And I do miss you all, the interactions and the tea times which we have. So what I want to do today is to give a brief introduction of what we do at Tobii Eye Tracking and how eye tracking is being used as a research tool, and would encourage you to start exploring this as well if you have not done so far. So as a brief introduction, I just, it's a known eye-mind hypothesis is a well-known topic. And eye tracking helps you understand, the brain activity in terms of cognitive processes, and also get a good understanding of how decision making is done. I'll briefly touch upon, how we see. So, our vision is divided into a foveal vision, which is very accurate, and we have the best contrast and sharpness in this very small field of view. But then the rest is parafoveal vision and the peripheral vision. So what we do with eye tracking is we track this very small bit, which is our foveal vision, and there we record the fixations, which are essentially the stops, and also during that we can record the pupil size and the saccades, as well as the microsaccades. So, these are all time-based. So what we have at hand is data in terms of saccades, fixations, and perception, which is actually, like a combination of fixations and saccades. So, this whole bit of information is then recorded with eye tracking as a technology. So it's been there in the researchers' labs for quite a long time, and what we have been doing is we are constantly trying to innovate and bring it out of the lab, make it even within the lab environment, make it extremely easy to handle, and try to handle complicated situations or areas where eye tracking was always desired to be used but has not been used so far. So for example, in terms of infant research, or where you are having say linguistics groups which are located in far off regions, or having social interactive studies where you really want to have an understanding of how vision works. Now, we've been quite honored to have a very good user base spread out across researchers globally as well as in India. And we are looking forward to spreading this technology much further. And so one reason for our success so far has been the ease of use And with that, we've had an exponential increase in the research publications where Tobii eye tracking has been used. And it's actually one of the key factors which helps us innovate more, that we get this encouragement from our users, and we also take in a lot of feedback from users. So essentially, what is eye tracking? So eye tracking is a way to record eye movement, and we at Tobii, we use a technique called PCCR. So it's pupil centered corneal reflections. So we understand the corneal reflections, and at the same time, we also calculate the center of the pupil with a camera system and illuminators, which are completely safe to use. And and then these can help us understand where the eye is fixating. So we can take a converging point, or we can take a single eye data, and this whole phenomenon is since it's a camera, it's a frequency based measurement tool. So what we have is, we have eye trackers which are defined by the frequency of their of each unit. So what we can refer to is like a kind of simplified table where you can understand which kind of measure you want to have from the eye data, and what kind of frequency you would want to use there. So we've been in the trade since 2001. So if you see here, so this is our first commercially made eye tracker, which was very crude, like single camera protruding out, and then on the top, these are the near infrared illuminators, and this was the screen on which it was mounted. So this was the very first eye tracker. We still have it in our headquarters as a showpiece. But then since then, we've actually grown in terms of innovations, and we have like 700 plus patents in the domain, eye tracking domain, and we have around 500 researchers who dedicatedly work on eye tracking and try to improve it. So as a result of that, what we have is, we have a range of eye trackers. So we've tried to categorize it into two parts. One is a remote eye tracker, which is a screen-based, or any eye tracker to measure a two-dimensional stimulus, and as well as a wearable eye tracker. Excuse me for the typo there. So the wearable eye tracker is something which can be worn, and you can go out or have social interaction, ethnographic research. So when we look at screen-based eye trackers, there are certain demands from the research community, and we've tried to make eye trackers to match those demands. One of the key demands being head movement, freedom of head movement. What we've done is we've been able to have eye trackers at a higher speed, but where you can also have the freedom of head movement. And one of the key reasons for this is that we have multiple cameras. So we have two cameras, we have multiple illuminators spread across the module, and that allows us to have the sampling can be done on participants as young as the like a 2 or 3 month old kid, to a geriatric population, where you have involuntary head movement. And part of the reason is we also have another business division which caters to paraplegic patients who are using eye tracking as a communication device. So with that said, the 1200 hertz eye tracker has a very good precision, and also has very good accuracy. So it also has the capability to give out TTL signals if you are going in for biometric integration. And then in the same range, what we have is also a TobiiPro Fusion eye tracker, which is slightly lower in frequency, but it gives you the flexibility of moving out with your research. So you can carry this sleek eye tracker, place it at the bottom of the screen, and then it's a USB powered device. So you can always go out to schools, or if you're catering to certain groups, which are say linguistic groups based in deep countryside where electricity or setting up a lab is difficult, you can do this. So like I just wanted to show you a small example. Of course, if we have time, we can also do a detailed demo. But then this is an example of a reading study where I've used a screen-based eye tracker. It's a 60 hertz data, so it's very less amount of eye fixations which you would see. But then still, now this is a sample study. This was an open-ended recording, so there was no specific task assigned to it. So what we can see is I've taken the gaze plot from these participants. So any say linguistics or reading research person who is interested, you can look at say regressions, in certain areas where you have people going back and looking at a few words for a longer duration. So we can always look at these, so these dark red areas are where there are higher number of fixations. So we can do these kind of studies to have a comparative analysis. And of course, this can also be translated into a metrics based report where we can get the time of the duration of fixation, the amount of time spent on each area. You can have a comparative analysis. You can also have a regression analysis done. And then, since there was a drawing competition as well, I found this to be quite an interesting study. So we did a small study with a group of artists. And these artists, so I recorded 3 of them. And 2 of these, so each color here is indicating the eye fixation of our artist. And if you can see, there is a kind of similarity between 2 artists, and both of them, they come from the same school of art. So they both are calligraphers actually. And so you can see there is a certain amount of similarity in terms of the way people look at an artwork. And there's of course a lot of things which can be researched using eye tracking. So moving on to the wearable eye trackers. So when it comes to wearable eye trackers, and can you all see my camera? So can I increase the size? Yeah. So what I'm wearing right now is an eye tracker. So this is a wearable eye tracker, the glasses, TobiiPro Glasses 3. And this has been a very well received device in terms of understand or recognizing the design of this. So what we have done here is we've actually taken all the components of an eye tracker and put them all in this piece of glass. So here what I have is, if you can see these, so these 2 are the scene cameras, and then we have illuminators which are built around this frame, and all this is sandwiched in the glass itself. So this is a really cool piece of technology, and if I get a chance, I would love to come across to all of you and demo this, because this opens up a lot of research avenues, especially in terms of any kind of human factors related study. If you're trying to understand how a surgeon is doing the surgery, or how a pilot is flying the planes, or how an air traffic controller is taking decisions, this eye tracker is being used in all these different streams of science. So so this is something which is also being used a lot in commercial research when it comes to understanding, say, consumer psychology, how people choose products. So and also in terms of understanding how people perceive things. So I want to show you this one recording. So this is an unpacking of a product, and you can see, there is a manual. And the interesting fact about this is it's done on my son, who is an 8-year-old kid. And the way he looks at a manual is very different than how we look at it. So like his eye gaze immediately went out for the images or the pictures, not the text at all. So what we did was I just let him be himself, apart from not using sharp tools. But then, so this helped me understand how he prefers looking at a manual. And you can see he's only looking at images. So that was an interesting outcome from there. So when we collect this data, we also have to analyze this, and for that we have eye tracking software suite, which is the TobiiPro Lab software. And this software is it's a very easy to use design tool. You can design your tool in terms of structuring your the sequence of stimulus which you want to present, and then also have a very good understanding by looking at the real-time data, how things are being recorded. You can have a real-time view during the recording. You can use the gaze replay as well as map the data on the stimulus, and also use the visualizations and analytics. So I'm sorry, I'm just rushing through a little bit now. But then we also have a methodology set for co-registration of biometric devices with the eye tracking data, which is as a resource we share this with you. And just to validate the kind of effort we put in our eye trackers, we also have an extensive report where we describe how we do measure our accuracy and precision. Because a lot of times people don't really, they just look at what frequency or how an eye tracker is going to be used. And then in the end, the results are not as desired. So we try to let you know how best we are doing this, and then how you can measure what kind of eye tracker you want. And then as a resource, we are also making available a reference library of research papers, which is on our website. And we also have a learning center. So, if anything you want to learn or understand about eye tracking, we have this information available on our site. So when it comes to, using eye data, there are tons of different ways in which it can be used. And this information is actually, this presentation is a very well articulated presentation about how eye tracking, the eye data can be used. And of course, when we're looking at cognitive processes or skills and abilities or mental health, so it really gives you a lot of understanding of the person or the subject. And then when we look at different streams in which eye tracking is being used, so in cognitive psychology, for example, it's being used for attention, memory, language, problem solving, decision making studies. In social psychology, persuasion or interpersonal interactions, how people take cues from others, physical appearance. In primate and canine behavioral understanding of the primate. In terms of neuroscience, visual processing, of course, eye movement patterns, and then also to correlate it with other methodologies or other techniques. We have a time stamping tool, which is very easy to integrate. And then human factors is, as I said, with a wearable device. And also, so I forgot to show you. So this is the smallest eye tracker which we have, which is the TobiiPro Nano eye tracker. And it's again, when we look at human factors, if you're looking at trying to understand how a doctor is looking at an X-ray, how is the telemedicine app working, how good communication is happening between a teacher and a student in terms of online education, how decision making is done in real life scenarios. If you're looking at designing or trying to understand how road furniture is designed and placed, So in a lot of these human factor related research areas, eye tracking is being used. So I just want to have a concluding slide with a very interesting research which has happened in India, and I think I showed this in a previous presentation as well. So this is where there's an organization of Indian Air Force which is called the ASTE, which tests any new component in an aircraft. And one of the pilots over there, he's used our eye tracker in an actual flight and collected data which he tried, like one of the output was trying to understand the fixation rate at different gravitational forces. So this is where he we've been able to understand how at a very testing condition our eye trackers can be used. At the same time, you can collect some valuable information in these very trying conditions, because a pilot will not remember what all he's seen after a 1 hour sortie or 2 hours sortie. So I think I'm on time, and I just want to conclude again by saying by thanking the organizing committee and all of you. So thank you for your gaze and your attention, and please do write to us. We would like to hear from you. If you want to have a one-on-one demo, we are available for that. So over to the organizers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parag, for adding into our knowledge about what eye tracking technology is and how best TobiiPro is developing their own advanced version of it. For the note of all the audience, please visit the official site of TobiiPro for the further details of the product. And thank you so much, sir, for your sincere contributions to ACCS8. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.